Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the Third Eagle of the Apocalypse and the Co-Prophet of the End Times. This is part 6 in my series on that amazing music video called Gangnam Style by the South Korean pop artist Psy. And I believe this video is a prophecy of the end times from Enoch. And on this program I want to talk about the Martyrdom of Pope Benedict XVI, as shown in Psy's video. And since this is a prophecy from Enoch, I believe he is giving the date for this event. However, I have not figured out the numbers exactly. I am going to give them to you, and maybe you can help me find what Enoch is talking about. But first I want to look at some of the many instances which indicate Psy is playing the role of the Antichrist in this video. Now we've already looked at where the 7 heads and 10 horns are. We've already seen where Psy looks like a leopard, walks like a bear, talks like a lion. And we've seen where he is the lawless one, and that's found in the title itself, because I believe Gangnam should be gang man. In other words, Psy is the Antichrist. He is the gang man. So now let's look at where Gangnam Style portrays the Antichrist as having a fierce countenance, as being a man of sin, and as looking stout. As far as a fierce countenance goes, or some Bibles say stern-faced, Psy is almost always looking angry in this video, especially when he uses the key phrase, open Gangnam Style. Let's take a look at a few examples. Even in this very first scene, Psy seems to have a fierce countenance and a snarl on his lips. Nor does he look happy in this horse barn scene. Of course, I can see why Psy would not be too happy in this scene where he has spots like a leopard. Once again, here on the bus, Psy is displaying a fierce countenance. And after the explosion, Psy, as the Antichrist, marches angrily towards the camera, pointing his finger. Even when Psy is dancing with his newfound girlfriend for the first time, he doesn't seem very happy about it. In fact, I don't think Psy smiles anywhere in this video. In this lobby scene, Psy even seems to bark at his new girlfriend. Here Psy seems to actually want to punch his new girlfriend. Incidentally, notice that the girl is giving a 2-finger phallic symbol sign, and she is also wearing black fingernail polish. So now let's go from Daniel 8:23, where the Antichrist is described as someone with a fierce countenance, to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, where St. Paul says that the Antichrist will be a man of sin. And let's look at this rather comical example where Psy, as the Antichrist, is lusting after the sexy ladies. As the Antichrist, the man of sin, Psy lusts after the sexy lady. But even here, he seems to have an angry expression on his face. Psy has been interviewed on a recent television program, and the moderator asked Psy why he was mad at the woman's butt. And he gave it kind of a lame reason. He said, because her butt was mad at me. Now it's possible Psy does not fully understand English. But the point I'm making is that even people in the mainstream media recognize this anger on the part of Psy in Gangnam Style. Of course, we know the real reason Psy is mad at the woman's butt is because he is unknowingly portraying the Antichrist. Now in Daniel 7, verse number 20, the Antichrist is described as being stout, and some Bibles use the word great. Now if this means that the Antichrist will be somewhat overweight, then Psy does fit that description. Now, according to American standards, Psy would not be considered overweight, but in Korea, he is considered chubby. If the Antichrist is considered stout, I believe that would fit Psy's appearance. Now I want to talk about where I believe the martyrdom of Pope Benedict XVI is shown in this Gangnam Style video. And in order to do that, I have to revisit the man dressed in yellow scene. If you may remember, at the time I said that this conflict between the Antichrist, that is Psy, and the man dressed in yellow, which is won by Psy, was an indication that 555, which was on the license plate of the man in yellow, will be defeated by 666, that is Psy, the Antichrist. And this is true. That is a correct interpretation. However, I said that this would be at the end, that Satan was boasting he would win, and I believe that was incorrect. I believe this shows that Satan will win during the tribulation, and that the number 555 refers to the Catholic Church, and that the holy city, as found in Revelation 11:2, will be trodden under by the Gentiles. And therefore, this man in yellow was not a coward as I suspected at the time. In fact, a YouTuber made an interesting comment on that video, and he said, where in Scripture is yellow associated with cowardice? And that got me thinking. Of course, yellow is not associated with cowardice in the Bible. So who does the man in yellow represent? In other words, who would have Mary's rosary number, that is 555, on his license plate? And it occurred to me immediately, this must represent the Pope. Could the man in yellow represent Pope Benedict XVI? Of course, a lot of people will say, well, the Pope is always dressed in white. And in fact, anytime a world leader wants a photo op with the Pope, one of the conditions is that the world leader will dress in a dark color and the Pope will dress in white. But the color yellow is also associated with the papacy. Let's take a look at the papal flag. As you can see in this design of the papal flag, white is equally important as yellow. In fact, the white and the yellow symbolize the two rivers that flow in heaven. That is, rivers of milk and honey. And also, these two keys, you may be interested in knowing, represent the keys of the kingdom as given by Jesus to the first pope, Pope Peter I. Although the color yellow dominates, this man in yellow does wear a white undershirt. And I believe the girls fleeing away from the man in yellow is an indication of priestly celibacy. So why should the man dressed in yellow represent our current Pope, that is Pope Benedict? And the reason is because according to the prophecies of St. Malachi, Pope Benedict is the next to last Pope. And that means that he will very likely be defeated by the Antichrist, just as Psy wins the dance-off with this man dressed in yellow. So where do I get the idea that Pope Benedict will be martyred? Let's take a look at the red-colored car that the man in yellow leaves the scene in. Red is universally known as the color of bloodshed and martyrdom. And after the man in yellow's defeat by Psy in the dance-off, he drives off in this car. And please notice the numbers on this license plate. Now, the 3 5s on the license plate, of course, indicate Mary's Rosary. And they help to identify that the driver of this automobile symbolizes a pope. But also please note the 3, the 8, and the 9. Now, I'm not saying that these numbers on the license plate definitely give us a date for the martyrdom of Pope Benedict XVI. However, I do know that one of Enoch's major missions in these end times is to give the timing of events. Could 3, for example, refer to 2013? Could 8 and 9 represent the day or the month, or vice versa? And maybe you have some suggestions, because I am not going to say anything definite on these dates. if and when Pope Benedict is martyred, I think we are going to see that these numbers on this license plate are very pertinent. And if Gangnam Style is prophesying the martyrdom of Pope Benedict XVI, that would coincide with the third secret of Fatima. In the third secret of Fatima, a bishop dressed in white is assassinated by military soldiers with knives and bullets. I think this comparison is very significant. And as always, I do offer a free copy of my book, Revelation Unraveled. For those of you who may be interested, you can write to the address you see on your screen or simply send me a message to my YouTube channel.